you're obese. I'm like, wow. I know I'm dense. I know I'm muscular, but obese? Okay, well, ninth grade, my coach tells me I need to lose weight. So I'm trying to be a good athlete. I started trying to lose weight.
You have tested this technology is working for you based on the parameter that you have set in place to be able to measure it and determine that it is effective based on what you want. But is this something that is designed only for you? Can you also use it for other people?
I would squeeze my core and hold it for a few seconds just to get that tightness and that muscle tone back. 2 months. 2 months it took me to get to that healthy number. But what I wasn't really paying attention to.
Hello everyone and thank you for joining us in today's episode of the Obehi podcast. My name is Obehi Ewanfo. I am the host of the Obehi podcast. Here, every now and then we bring in an individual to share their story, to let us know what they do. And of course, you see that I continue to encourage people, businesses, professional, and individual to leverage the power of their story. Because your story is the most powerful instrument that exists in the world. So learning how to share your story means learning how to attract the right audience to your business. So if this is something that you are interested in, you can consider first subscribing to this channel and why not reach out to me. We have a story to asset framework, which is what we use to help businesses and professionals to attract the right audience by leveraging the power of their story.
I'm native here, but I've also been working on a technology. It's called Livalytics to help people figure out what their health is doing and to understand how their activities affect their numbers. So when we talk about things like blood pressure and glucose and the heart rates and things like that that we can measure with our fitness devices, it's really all about understanding how I can adjust my activities to get the results that I want for my own health.
And when did you start to do this?
Well, it kind of started, him and my daughter had just had preemie twins. So they ended up sheltering here at my house. And during that process, I witnessed him try to go back to managing the football program from his phone. And I witnessed him go through a massive struggle in understanding where are my players, who's on campus, who's at home, who's been sick, who was with them, who's got their vaccinations, and what am I going to get when they come back. So I started building the technology so that he could keep up with his football players. And I literally got recruited to the company that I was building from. From that point, I'm I'm excited about that opportunity, but I'm literally falling apart. I have a joint disorder that really affects my whole body, and all of my joints and connective tissue is like trash. So when I started falling apart, I'm like, what do I do? I literally dislocated a rib one day while I was doing sit-ups. And that had me literally paralyzed in fear. I got help from a chiropractor to put the rib back in place, but when he did it, he said, "You're totally unstable. You need a physical therapist." So in that process, I had to go through my general practitioner, and she was looking at some things and she said, "Well, you have 8 markers for a specific disorder, and I need to send you to a cardiologist." So here I am. I've got a chiropractor, a general practitioner, I've got a physical therapist, just all things I have to do to get better. Again, scared. I have two grandbabies. What do I do? I'm like, okay, well, I have my app. I've got four doctors telling me all these things I need to do, and they're saying I can get better. So I'm determined I'm going to get better. I want it to be at the park. I want it to be loud. I want it to be in the stands when my babies are playing ball. I want it to be a part of that picture and their core memories. So as I was figuring out what to do, I'm like, well, I can track what I need to do in my app. And what I discovered during my research was that the waist to hip ratio was a measure that made sense to me. The BMI scale, or the body mass index, literally had ruined my life when I was in the ninth grade. I was ninth grade running track, and my coach comes to me. I'm doing the 100-meter hurdles, the 200-yard dash, and the shot put. And my coach comes to me and tells me, according to this scale, you're obese. I'm like, wow. I know I'm dense. I know I'm muscular, but obese? Okay, well, ninth grade, my coach tells me I need to lose weight. So I'm trying to be a good athlete. I started trying to lose weight. So from the ninth grade on, I'm on this roller coaster of gaining and losing my whole life. So when I discovered the waist to hip ratio that says that a healthy woman's body has a waist to hip ratio of 0.85 or lower, I measured myself and I was at a 0.96, which meant my stomach was just about as big as my hips. So I'm like, that makes sense to me. This is a target that I can head for, I can reach, I can understand, because the BMI said that I should be some number that I will never reach. So as I started working on winding my waist, it was me thinking, who is my model? Who do I look to for that type of body shape? And I'm thinking Beyonce. So that's my she was my muse. I turned up the music when I was doing laundry or doing the dishes, and I pretend I was one of her backup dancers. So it became that focus, because every time I thought about my grandkids, I would squeeze my core and hold it for a few seconds just to get that tightness and that muscle tone back. So in doing other things, I added in some long arm pullovers and, some glute bridges. 2 months, 2 months it took me to get to that healthy number. But what I wasn't really paying attention to was that my blood pressure also dropped by like 30 points. I went from a 143 over 92 down to a 110 over 77. And that really blew my mind, because I felt different. And it was what I was focused on in looking at my numbers, was I wanted to exchange some of my sedentary minutes for active minutes. And what I found was that 26 very active minutes equaled a half a pound of weight. So that was where I started really understanding how the numbers could help me understand, because I'm charting it and I'm seeing how my body is changing visually on graphs and charts. So it was really motivating. And throughout that process, I started to understand what I needed to do for my own body. And I figured out my magic numbers. And One is 3 and 1. I do 3 days of workout and 1 day of rest. But I have to start with my physical therapy. Then I go in my cardio. So I'm covering all of my doctors as well as getting what my body needs to get better. So it's been a journey, but that wasn't what blew my mind.
All right, you were telling me just now that during an exercise, you got a dislocation. Could you explain that part a bit? What really happened there? How did it happen? And what did you do about it?
I was just doing sit ups with a twist and bringing my knee up to meet my elbow. And I heard a pop, and it was painful. So I didn't want to breathe, but I had to call my husband for help. And when he got there, he didn't know what to do. So it was like, okay, what can I do to feel better? Because this is crazy. So I knew that chiropractic had helped me before because I had scoliosis really bad. And I'm arthritic like all over my body. But when I went to that chiropractor that day, he immediately, just by feel, recognized what was going on. And by using one of his instruments, he was able to click that rib back in place.
It is said that only he who has no head does not understand what is headache. Because you don't usually describe headache. Everybody should know about it. It's painful, Anyway, it's good that you overcame that.
I'm not a gym rat. I like working out at home because I sweat profusely and it's kind of embarrassing. So I like to do my workouts at home. And based on what my physical therapist taught me, I'm using simple tools like resistance bands and kickball.
I'm curious about this technology that you are working on. Could you expand more on that? Again, I'm really curious about it.
It's built on the Salesforce platform, and we're using it in a very innovative way. Salesforce is built for business. And as I was working with Fortune 500 companies and getting them exactly what they needed to understand their business and designing systems that would help them to manage better, I'm thinking, this is good for any information system. And what is more important than our health? So as I'm designing the the app and the objects that we needed to identify the different health parameters, it was, kind of intuitive. But the information that I had gotten from my son-in-law about the football team and how they were training and how they were tracking the improvements that they were making, I'm like, this makes perfect sense for using this technology.
And where do you use this technology today? After you develop it, how do you use it? Okay, in what places?
I have the ability to integrate anything that puts off what's called an API or application programming interface. So any device that provides information, Salesforce can integrate that information and show it to you just as if it was just made in that system. So when I collect my activity data, my heart rate data, my sleep data, my heart scores, my stress, all of this is good information, but it doesn't track things like my blood pressure. It doesn't track my glucose. It doesn't keep up with my weight or my body measurements. So when I added these things in, now we have a more complete picture of health. And of course, my psychological fortitude. That was one of the things that we really started to understand, that if I wake up on a scale of 1 to 10, and if I'm on a 10, I'm ready to run through walls today. But if I'm on a 3 or 4, that might change how I work out, but it also is going to change how I function. And I need to recognize that. And if there's a pattern, I can journal that as well.
All right. As I'm talking, I'm imagining the importance of data because it's really very important that somebody understand that. It's actually, everything is data, no? uh, um, okay, now I'm wondering, but tell me, how did you determine the effectiveness of the technology that you are working with? How do you know that it is effective? Tell me about that.
That's where I kind of got my understanding of how my body was totally changing. So I started at a 0.96, and in 2 months, I had reached that healthy body measure of 0.85. However, the work that I was doing took me even lower. I got to a 0.77. It was me recognizing some of the things that I was doing. So if we talk about that 1% improvement every day, that's what I was trying to get to.
All right. Now, you have tested this technology is working for you based on the parameter that you have set in place to be able to measure it and determine that it is effective based on what you want, no? Uh, but is this something that is designed only for you? Can you also use it for other people? Can people come to buy it from you? Is it an application that they need to install on their phone or their computer? Can you tell us more about that?
I've been experiencing this app through others, especially in my family. My husband had the triple trifecta: high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol. Then he had AFib. Then he had a stroke. Then he coded 3 times. And while he was in the hospital, he saw the stress on my face and promised me that he was going to turn it around. And he did. And throughout this whole process, between the both of us, we lost over 100 pounds together. So, been in understanding that just as effective. So, as he was measuring his glucose numbers and keeping up with those and working to get his numbers better, the weight started falling off. And that's when he said, well, I'm going to the gym. Okay. And then he's going to the gym and coming back all sweaty with a swagger. And I'm like, oh, something's going on here. And he started tracking his weight, and he started tracking his blood pressure. And literally, my husband and I are in the best shape of our lives. I couldn't believe it. We were hanging out with the grandkids this weekend, and at the park, they're twins, they're 5 years old, and they wanted to hang on the monkey bars. And well, they couldn't get up there, so I had to kind of help give them a boost to get up there. So they get up there and they're hanging and they're having fun, and they're like, okay, I want to get down. So I get them down, and I'm like, I can get up here too. So I grabbed the bar and started pulling myself up, and I did 3 chin-ups this past weekend. I've never done a chin-up in my life. I was an athlete in high school and could not do a chin-up. So that's one amazing difference. So I'm not using, like I said, I'm not lifting heavy weights because my joints can't manage that. I'm using resistance bands and a kickball. But I'm seeing how my body is changing, and even shopping is different now. you have an event and you got to go and find an outfit for that event. And, you go to the store and you pull 12 dresses off the rack and you go into the dressing room and you try them on. And there's like, well, this one will do. So the last time I went shopping, I went and pulled 12 dresses off the rack and every one of them fit like bam. I'm like, oh, I got another problem now. I got to figure out which one of these to take home, or 2 or 3 of these to take home now. So it's that difference in that I feel new. I feel strong. I'm the strongest I've ever been in my life. And I've only been using resistance bands.
That's so good. That's so good. Now, is it something that you use also within the area of business that maybe you apply for people to help them also be in shape like you? Can you tell us more about that?
The health disparities that African Americans are suffering now, mostly from preventable chronic illnesses. This is where my heart says we need to focus. So, what we have always had is our churches have always been more than just worship centers, they're also community centers. So, with my own church, we started a wellness ministry. And our wellness ministry is not just focused on, weightlifting, but it's focused on total wellness. And we had our kickoff a couple of weeks ago. And what we did was we did a combination of information, education, and exercise. So we brought in health professionals. We brought in a physical therapist, a massage therapist, 3 mental health advocates, and a chiropractor. And they all spoke to our church and they had some amazing questions asked of them. So during that process, it was the difference between focusing on medicine and more focus on understanding our own bodies. We have to be in the driver's seat of our own health journey. And as I talk about that, I am so inspired by my dad. My dad is 89 years old. My mom passed like 20 years ago, but he's living his best life. He's playing golf twice a week. He walks a mile every day. He's got his own garden and he feeds himself out of it. And last year, when he came to me, he said, something's not right with my heart. And I'm like, okay, let's go get that checked out. So we went to the emergency room and they did a workup on him and found that he had a benign extra heartbeat. They said, it's not a problem, but we understand it's bothering you. So we're going to set you up with a cardiologist, get some testing done, and we're going to give you some beta blockers to calm that down. Okay, so we go through that process. We're going through the testing. He's got the beta blockers. It's calming down. And we're at the cardiologist's office after the testing. So they go in and find, yes, you have an aneurysm on your aorta. I literally have the exact same thing. So as I'm listening to the doctor, he's saying, well, what we're going to do is we need to reduce your blood pressure and get your resting heart rate down. So I'm going to prescribe 2 additional heart medicines and I'm going to increase your level of beta blockers. And my dad goes, you want me to take more of the pills that's already got me winded? And Doctor said, well, yeah. My dad goes, what are my options? And the doctor said, well, you can get your resting heart rate down and you can get your blood pressure down yourself. And you can do that by raising your heart rate to 120, 130 beats per minute and holding it there for 20 to 30 minutes a day. And my dad said, I'll do that. So we get in the car and he's like, well, I can get my heart rate up, but I don't know about counting 120 beats per minute. And I said, okay, I'm going to get you a Fitbit watch, Dad, just like mine, matching color and everything. I felt so cool about that. And we got the watch. And just over time, a couple of weeks later, I'm on the phone with him. Just a regular call. Good morning, Pop. How you doing today? And he goes, I'm fine. And I say, I'm looking at the data and I say, Pop, what's going on with your sleep? You're getting less and less sleep over the last 4 weeks. What's going on? And he tells me, well, I've been peeing a lot at night. It's getting me out of the bed like 8 or 9 times. So that's what's probably creating that problem in my sleep patterns. And I'm like, okay, well, we need to go see a urologist. Let's get that appointment. So there we are a couple of weeks later. We're at the urologist's office. And my dad goes, puts the sample in the window, and he comes and sits back down beside me. And he goes, I think walking faster is helping my brain. Really, Pop? How do you figure this? And he says, well, when we were at the cardiologist's office, the doctor was talking about how the heart is a muscle. And I know if you train a muscle, it's going to get stronger. So as I'm walking faster and raising my heart rate, I'm pumping more blood and more oxygen into my brain. I'm catching on to things. I'm remembering things. I'm hearing things better. Okay. An 89-year-old who knows their body, you can't dispute that. So I'm thinking, wow, this is deep. So he goes in, gets his urology check. They find that his prostate is swollen, but not cancerous. Okay, we got the right medications. He's sleeping better. Fast forward a couple of weeks later, we're back at the follow-up for the cardiologist. I got my data. So I'm taking my iPad into the doctor's office. And there we're sitting there and he gets his EKG. The doctor checks him out and he said, everything looks good. And I'm like, look at this, doc. I'm going to show you what he's been doing. You don't get more powerful than that.
Absolutely. So when people are using this application, they put on the wristwatch. Now you're able to see what is happening from your home. You're able to monitor it there. Is that correct?
Well, we've been checking out different devices. I have a Fitbit and I have a Garmin watch. My husband has a Fitbit and a Samsung watch. And we're looking at how the different data from the different devices presents. So every watch doesn't have the exact same mechanisms and tools and information. But I love my Fitbit. This watch right here is actually like 4 years old, and I still only need to charge it once a week. So this is the watch that I can get my sleep data from. The others have a 24-hour watch battery. I can't get good sleep data because I have to put it on the charger at night. That's a different comparison than what I can see in my phone app. So my watch gives me a lot of information, but like I said, it doesn't track my body measurements. It doesn't track my weight. It doesn't track my my moods. So if I have one place where I can see all of this, I can see how the numbers play against each other. And when the days that I had poor sleep, I wake up with a bad mood, I don't get my good workout in because those are the days I'm just checking the box. I am not focused. Those are the days where I don't get as much done. So I recognize that if I am off on one number, it plays against the others. So as I focus on getting my sleep and my activity, it affects my weight, my mood, and everything else.
All right, now tell me something. How do you get your technology into this watch? Since I am thinking that you didn't manufacture the watch in your house, but you, of course, you have developed the technology. So I'm trying to understand how you get them to work with your wristwatch.
There's an integration process. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes to connect my watch into the Salesforce platform. So I can get that information just like I have my phone app for my watch. I can get that information right out of my phone by connecting it into the Salesforce platform. And then I use the Salesforce app, the mobile app, to see all of my data using the advanced analytics that are available in that Salesforce platform.
This application that you have developed, is it useful for you? Is it true or false? If it is useful for you, then it can be useful to other people. Have you thought of the business side of what you have developed? Tell me more about that.
We are focused on right now is a community health initiative. And we have 3 different levels that you can join the app and get the same results based on how you want to do it. Level 1 is a workbook and spreadsheet tracker where you can see your data, track your data, and understand how what you're doing is affecting and changing your body. That's one way to do it. The second way to do it is to come on to our online community where we take you through those same 10 levels and 10 steps to get to that height of maintenance. Then there's the third level where you get the full watch integration, you get the workbook, you also understand and see your data in an analytics dashboard. You get your own personal dashboard that shows you those things that you set your goals based on. So out of the 30 some parameters that we measure, everyone won't use the same measurements. Just like my husband and I, totally different from the numbers that my father was measuring. So you get to choose based on your why. And I certainly needed some endurance. So that's where I put my focus and targeted the numbers that would show me that I was getting stronger and that I was getting more endurance.
For people that want to learn more about you, I want to be able to connect with you and work with you. How can they reach out to you?
Well, there's a contact page on our app page, which is www.livalyticsapp.com. And of course, Livalytics is spelled Livalytics, app.com. They can reach out to me there, or of course, find Kaye Woodard on LinkedIn. That's Kaye Woodard, MBA. And there's all kinds of ways to figure out how this app can help you. But if you come in with your community, you get a massive discount.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Of course, for all of you that are listening to this conversation, reach out to Kay and she can help you. You see that if the application that she has developed is helping her, then it can also help you. Of course, why not? We are a community. We need to help each other. If there is something good that is done in the community, why not we support it? Yesterday we have an interesting conversation about collaboration as against competition. And we were saying that within the African diaspora community, we need more of collaboration. There is no way we cannot help each other. It's far easier, cheaper, and more effective when we collaborate than when we compete against each other. So reach out to her, support her. Let it be that she is successful because you are part of that success. That's why we are here. That is the message.
Situation that we're in right now, we have to count on each other. And the one thing that I will say is that our financial picture is so impacted by our health. There is no wealth without health. So if we're losing money to chronic illnesses and preventable diseases, that's money that we can't leave for our kids. And over here, that is the message I want my people to hear, because we find out too late. If we go to our doctor and we have 2 high blood pressure readings, that goes into your medical information board records. And that is how insurance companies keep us from getting that care and that insurance that can keep our families moving forward when we can't be there any longer. So that's my message. It's about the money, people. This is an impact to our ability to create generational wealth. Let's make a dent. Let's do something. Let's make an impact, and let's look out for each other.
I appreciate the conversation and the sharing here. And of course, I encourage all of you that have also listened to this point in the conversation to make sure you subscribe to this podcast and share also with other people who can benefit from it. We bring in value to you all the time, every week. Bringing in people. I've done over 1,000 interviews here, bringing in different people, professionals from across the diaspora to share information that can help you. So make sure you subscribe to this channel and make sure you share also with your friends. It doesn't cost you anything at all. Nothing. So do this to support what you believe in. Thank you so much. I will talk to you next time.